That's right. You hear me right. The God of this world is money. The things people would do to get money, and how it's such an influencer on on human nature. Because I always talk about how human nature is not neither inherently good or evil. It's just programmable, especially in a domain where a lot of people are cut off from their inner divine self or who they really are, where they come from. You know, when you're in a domain like this, where you actually have all this free reign, all this God-given free will to do whatever, then yeah, of course you're gonna either go become a person who is conscious or a person who becomes conscious, and as a result, they do bad things. But I digress. Anyways, like I said, it's just the things people do in this world for money, and the fact that people are willing to actually continue this system of enslavement and suffering in the name of money. It's just people are so blind to what they're doing, and in the type of world they're creating, the type of deplorable, despicable world of suffering, pain, and enslavement. Because by now, this world will be so much of a better place if people actually didn't buy into this cult, this thing called money. And no, I'm not necessarily the type of person who's going to tell you that, oh, you have all this money, therefore you're a bad person. It's not really that per se. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You have to use money for whatever. I'm not the type of person who's going to actually look at that person over and say, oh, look at him, he got all that money. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying that people don't understand how money or money problems or lack in this world has created this real phenomenon called scarcity-based mind control. Because if you actually put someone in a scarcity-based mindset, these people are going to do crazy things that goes against their actual nature, as their nature, and it reduces a person with a divine essence, which pretty much everyone with a soul has, down to an animalistic level. It's really shocking, very shocking. If only all these slaves in the control system who are actually aiding the will of this dark ball that runs this planet, if only they understand that the money they're getting is nothing because it doesn't exist in nature. And what they're doing is they're actually are creating their own enslavement. Essentially, they're just house slaves because of the fact they get all this comfort that the money will give them. But in the long run, they're enslaving themselves. And they have been doing this for lifetime after lifetime, generation after generation. Been doing this to themselves, and they don't even know it. I mean, we can get into the whole cause and effect thing when it comes to natural law and what it's doing to themselves as well in the world around us. A lot of people think this selfish attitude is going to cut it in life. But I mostly blame people. A lot of these people who actually have these attitudes of actually willing to do anything for money if it means harming another fellow individual or person, or willing to do the most disgusting and grotesque things, willing to backstab and betray people, these things, I bet you, it has to do with the fact that a lot of people in this world have a materialistic, or more so, a philosophical, materialistic, and nihilistic mindset. Or some people have a solipsistic mindset as well, which is why they have this attitude of actually willing to actually do these bad things for money. For example, there is many people in the reason why the so-called truth movement has been so lousy, because of the fact that you got people who are willing for money to actually infiltrate these groups. This goes for the alternative spiritual community, and it also plays a big part of why the New Age movement is what it is now. And they got people who are willing to actually do these things for money, to actually keep us down, to help keep humanity down. The fact they're willing to betray their own fellow brothers and sisters just so they can actually make some imaginary paper that doesn't exist in nature. These Federal Reserve notes, or whatever notes, depending on what country you came from. Money that really doesn't exist in nature. Money that's backed by nothing. Even if it was backed by something, it's still a tool of enslavement. The fact that it amazes me how money controls people. You can literally actually make someone dance and sing to your tune. And it's such a huge influencer. Many people, for example, don't understand that most so-called authority figures out there have been bought and paid for by money. They say and do these things because of money. That's what it ultimately comes down to. I can go on and talk about, how there's power involved, but in turn, that's actually because, that's one of the main, that actually reminds me of how that's one of the real reasons why a lot of people want to accumulate so much wealth. It doesn't have anything to do necessarily with just greed. Greed is just like what? A small part of it, or maybe it's just a red herring. I don't know. It could be both. But it's because of the fact that the more money you have, the more power you have, because you can influence so many people with money. See, this is the reason why your so-called representatives, a lot of people give their power away to. A lot of people worship at the altar because they see these people as gods, but they're no better than you and me, especially on a spiritual level. They're no better than you and I. They're regular individuals. Just because they seem to actually have their little degrees or their credentials, it doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean nothing in nature. They're no better than you and I. Yet these people put them on this altar like they're gods. Like we have to actually see them, and we have to see them as these type of people. We have to give them these quote unquote honorary titles and so forth. We have to address them by this name or that name. We got to show them respect. Respect for what? I never asked you to do anything for me. I can take care of myself because I actually am a man of self-ownership and personal responsibility. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't like that in this world. But anyways, I digress. What I'm trying to say is that these people, that you worship so much, these politicians, these so-called world leaders, your presidents, your kings, your queens, whatever. But in this day and age, let's talk about this day and age. But in this day and age, they're bought by money. And that's what they are. They actually do these things for money. That's why they're actually screwing you over behind your back, and they don't even know it. And it just really bothers me. It just gets me really, really riled up when I have to hear about how there's people out there who are willing to troll and willing to shill their way into these groups, whether it be alternative spiritual groups or alternative media, whatever, and just screw it all up, mess it all up, sabotage everything, cause rift, create drama. That's their MO. That's their job. That's their mission. These people don't even know what they're ultimately doing and who their real masters are. Some of these people at these lower levels don't know who they're truly serving. They don't understand they're serving a force, a consciousness that's anti-human. That's actually not even human at the highest levels. Yeah, you can disbelieve me all you want, but that's something you got to look into yourself. I'm not asking you to believe me or not about that, but I'm just stating it out. I'm just stating what I have to state. What I see as truth. What do you want? I'm very careful to avoid saying my truth because my truth, I don't like to use the term my truth because there's no such thing as individual truth in nature. Because it sounds solipsistic to me. So I don't use that term my truth. But what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people don't know who they're really serving. And you know what's even scarier? The fact that some of these people know who they're serving. And they don't care. They don't care that they're causing enslavement. It just shows how mind controlled and broken people are. Because this is just a situation where you have a race of individual beings who have been so traumatized and so beaten down and whipped for so long that they're willing to do anything to serve their masters and get any monicum of comfort because people have been suffering so much for so long that they're willing to do anything to appease to their masters, even if it means having to harm other people. If it means they can get a little bit of comfort out of that, a little slice of that pie. That's what it also ultimately comes down to as well. It's just a lot of these people don't know what they're doing to themselves. A lot of these people don't understand the type of reality they're creating because they don't understand that they're creating a dark reality for them, not only for the world around them, but for themselves ultimately in the end, at the end of the day. A lot of these people don't understand that instead of actually doing this, they can actually just decide to actually say as a collective, wait a minute. Look, we're sovereign beings, and we have the ability to say no to all this. The only reason why all these things are going on is because of the fact that we're enabling it. We don't have to enable this. I mean, and something else we don't think of, the fact that they're serving just a small group of people. Most of these people who are at the highest levels can't physically do anything to you. And particularly on the physical level, they can't do anything to you. I mean, most of these people are, like I said, a lot of them are a bunch of old people as well, or individuals who can't even, like I said, can't even punch a fly. I mean, I bet your ass I can take most of these people on in a real fight. I mean, if it came down to that, I bet you I could in a real fight take these guys down easily, because I know enough. I know a little self-defense. I mean, I haven't formally trained in it, but I know enough to actually, I have an idea what to do in a real fight. But like I said, it's just, what I'm trying to point out is that there's billions of us on this planet, yet just so few of them. Yet it's amazing how a small group of these people, these small number of people with this, all they have to do is use their super intellect, because that's all they have. Most of these people actually lack the divine feminine in their hearts. So all they got is the left brain, just the intellect, the masculine principle. That's all they have. So they use that, a dark variant of it, which is control and domination, and they have actually found clever ways of manipulating billions of people on this planet by serving them, by making them believe that you are, or more so, they own you. They have actually fooled people into this. It's amazing how how a small group of people can control so few, and they get that done by actually getting a certain group of people out of that percentage of billions to actually do their dirty work for them, telling them that it's for your own good, or it's because you have to follow our orders, because we're your masters. The fact they literally believe this archonic nonsense as well. It's insanity. It's like the analogy of how a slave owner rounds up hundreds of his slaves on a plantation, and he actually makes an example out of one of the slaves. He beats the ever-living shit out of that slave, while a bunch of other slaves watch helplessly. It's just only one guy who runs the plantation, yet he owns everybody. In a sane world where a lot of people believe there's no such thing as authority, a lot of people actually realize there's no such thing as authority, that authority is an illusion, that we're all sovereign free will beings, billions of these slaves will beat the shit out of that one guy who's trying to beat the shit out of the other one. That's what I'm trying to point out. Because of the fact that will not fly in the natural world, or in the world where people are often bought into artificial constructs, and in the world where people are not mind controlled. They're actually buying into artificial religions as such as authority. It's just amazing how it's just the magic. But back on topic to money, because that's what it ultimately comes down to in the end, because of the fact that money also controls people. I mean, you don't need to intimidate anyone if you can get someone to work for you for the money. I'm telling you, the human race needs to start rethinking this whole money thing. We need to transition out of money. But unfortunately, that's going to require a rising consciousness. I talk about raising consciousness all the time, which means we need to actually like I said, my solutions. I talk about my solutions all the time on my blog. You need to go there. My solutions are based on the fact that we need to get back to living by the laws of nature, more so universal law or natural law, which is based on the principle of do not harm. And actually understanding that we create a reality based on our actions if they cause someone harm, or if our actions actually cause no harm. Because that's how we truly create our own reality. That's what a lot of these New Agers don't like to talk about when it comes to teaching you the law of attraction. They understand that one thing that's missing with the law of attraction is the fact that your actions, your right actions, your wrong actions, in the type of reality that manifests especially on a collective level. If people from a collective, through collective power, actually were consistently actually taking right action throughout their whole entire life. Right actions based on integrity, actions based on the love for objective truth that's not actually tainted and corrupted and influenced by social constructs, influenced by moral relativism and so forth, in cultural constructs. If it's based on what's inherent in nature, integrity, based in integrity as well. Those things. If we actually if we based our actions based on those things, based on actually, like I said, speaking in integrity, having courage, always standing up to what's wrong, no matter how or what other people are gonna see in you. Because that's a lot of problem. A lot of people don't want to speak up or stand up because they're scared of, oh, what that person's gonna think of me. That's what I'm trying to say. People really need to get out of that mindset, by the way. So that goes into how people need to really, like I said, the whole conscious parenting thing. How we need to rethink how we're raising our children. Because in fact, a lot of people will try to raise their children based on these fear-based tactics and methods that really are not teaching children to actually do good for a higher cause or a higher purpose. You have to understand that, a lot of people aren't going to do good unless they understand there is a higher purpose to doing good in this world. And that's actually having a world where that's stable, a world that's full of prosperity. I'm telling you right here, right now. Let me interrupt myself. I'm telling you right here, right now. If we live in a world of integrity, courage, truth, freedom, sovereignty, if we live in a world where people are always honest to each other, never will hold back from telling the truth. I'm telling you right here, this world will be different. So different, it won't even be funny. It won't even be funny. It'll be so different now. You'll be quite amazed at how life in this planet will be so different. It'll be, and it's going to get to the point where money will no longer even be necessary because people are going to find ways to people are going to start, we're going to start seeing technology that only people who are part of these government black ops programs actually are allowed to use or see. You're going to start seeing this technology be used publicly. And when we see more and more of this type of technology being accessed to the public, once the control system finally goes down, I don't know when that's going to happen because I don't foresee it happening. And if it does happen, I see it's probably going to get replaced by another control system, since a lot of people don't know better. Then we're going to have our life. Our life is going to be so much better. And I think money is going to become not necessary anyway. That's how I see things. That's just prediction. I'm not necessarily tell you that's the ultimate truth. I'm just saying that that's what I see in that. And like I said, I also have another message to all those people out there who are willing to do evil things for money, who are willing to actually turn their back on the human race for money and serve a dark cabal that's honestly not even, truly human at the core. And that's the fact that you are sick and disgusting, despicable human beings out there. Some of these people probably aren't even human for all I know. It won't shock me, It won't shock me. But anyways, whoever you are, all I have to say is that you people are some of the worst, the most disgusting. Some of the worst people. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Because in the long run, you're gonna have to pay for your crimes. Yeah, you may not have to pay for it in the foreseeable future, but it's gonna come back to you eventually. And because all these things do eventually come to an end. So all cycles come to an end. And a lot of people are banking on the fact they can re-loop the cycle because they've been banking on the fact that history always repeats itself because of the fact that people always make the same mistakes. Humanity always makes the same mistakes and fall into the same traps that are under different names. But it's going to come to an end sometime. I don't know when. I'm not going to make any dates or predictions. You're just a bunch of expendable fools. You still don't think that you're going to actually be able to be on the top with all your other masters, but at the end of the day, you're going to be used and abused because these people at the highest levels don't give a shit about you as an individual. You don't want to believe me, go right ahead, don't believe me. But when shit hits the fan, they're going to, look, they're going to throw you to the curve. That's all I have to say. They're going to throw you to the curve. You're nothing more than a useful fool, a useful idiot, a useful dumbass. You know what I mean? Like I said, because of the fact that ultimately you're serving a consciousness that hates humanity, that is anti-human in general. They're only using you as a way to help harvest our energy, because that's what they ultimately do. They like to harvest and feed off our suffering. As crazy as that sounds, ultimately that's what it's all about. They may give you actually all the tools to do it, all the comforts, so you to keep your morale up, but at the end of the day, they don't give a shit about you. And you're working for people who don't give a shit about you. You probably don't care because you somehow think, oh, well, I can just retreat when that happens. No, it doesn't work like that, because they're going to leave you out to dry. And they're willing to actually throw you out there and use you as a scapegoat when need be. If you don't believe me, you need to take a look at history. Maybe that's something you need to do. You know, because... you know, maybe you won't do that because of the fact you're just too much of a piece of shit to do it. You people, I have to say is that you people are just don't even deserve to be here. You don't deserve a life. You don't deserve to breathe this air. The same air that you're prior poisoning as well and tainting, by the way. You don't deserve none of it. You don't deserve to live in this domain. You deserve to actually go to some place, probably in one of these, to some place where you can actually deal with other people just like you. You can fight in war with these people all the time. You know? Because in near-death experiences, people talk about how they see these lower planes of existence where there's all this negativity, all these fighting, all these hellish type of realities in these lower in the lower fourth dimension. For example, you hear about that in near-death experience, how some people drift into these negative realities where a lot of people equate to hell. How about those people go to those places where they can see where there's people just like them, and they can actually fight and have conflict with each other forever? I mean, it's right up their alley. They deserve to go there. They don't deserve to be here. But you know what? I'm not the creator of the universe. You're lucky that the creator actually has unconditional love. Enough unconditional love for you to do whatever the hell you want. As far as harming other people. I do believe we should be able to do what we want as long as we don't harm people. You know? But like I said, I'm not the creator. I don't have the mind of the creator, so I can't tell it. I sometimes wonder, when's it going to end? When's all this suffering going to end? But I'm telling you that this whole money thing, it's just ridiculous, because every single day I have to hear about some bullshit concerning the fact that people are willing to do this or that for money. The fact that people are willing to actually harm their own fellow brother and sisters for money. The stories I have heard, I mean, they're so outrageous and shocking that I can't even tell you it. I don't even want to even tell you the stories. I'm thinking of one story right now that just actually makes you literally want to cry. And it's really hard for me to cry. You know, it's really hard for me to cry. You know, I used to cry very easily when I was a little kid, actually. I used to cry over the dumbest things. I used to cry all the time. But when I got older, I stopped crying, and I've conditioned myself to stop crying because I've come to realize that crying in this world, in this plane of existence, doesn't solve anything. That's why I stopped crying. And I hate it when I cry that my nose started running and stuff. I hated that. I mean, when I was a kid, there's many occasions where I used to cry myself to sleep at night because of how unfair the world treats me, or how I feel, or there's times where I feel my parents treated me unfairly in a situation, and I used to cry myself to sleep at night over it too. I used to cry a lot when I was a kid, but when I was younger, but when I got older, I started crying less because I realized that, like I said, crying doesn't solve anything. It doesn't. No one cares. When I start crying, no one gave a shit. My parents just literally left me alone and just wait for me to cry to sleep, which is fucked up, but it's true. I mean, my parents weren't cold-blooded people, but that's just how. But I'm not saying they're cold-blooded people or anything, but that's just how it is. You know, I'm just saying, pointing out that it's really, to make me cry, it takes a lot. You know, I might get upset and I might feel sad about something, but it's hard for me to cry. And I'm going off topic, but who cares, you know, because it's just that it's just the things people do for money. It's so depressing. And people need to stop buying into this religion of money, thinking that we're going to somehow, let me put it this way. Humanity is never going to change. Never going to actually evolve until we start to slowly start getting away from money. I understand we can't get rid of money overnight. That's just naive. But we need to start working towards a more conscious society where people will start thinking less and less about money. Or money becomes so shared by people's voluntary free will based on their consciousness that, like I said, money will eventually become unnecessary. That's all I'm trying to say here. And I'm just sick and tired of how it's just unwritten rule that you have to be for this unregulated social economic system of enslavement centered around money. You have to be for it, or else you're deemed a socialist or communist, which is bullshit. Because I'm not a fucking communist. That's for one thing. And I'm neither a capitalist. I'm neither of those two things. Because to me, they're both different brands of enslavement. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone thinks. Because at the end of the day, this economic system centered around money is going to create some kind of hierarchy. It doesn't matter if there's no state present and there's a money system. It's because at the end of the day, the ones with the most money are going to become the most influential people. It's going to be a hierarchy, and the hierarchy is going to come out of that. Because for a social economic system, for that to work, you need subordinate people. It's that simple. You can talk about voluntary exchange all you want, but at the end of the day, a lot of this so-called voluntary exchange is actually involuntary. A lot of people do it because they have to, not because they want to. Most people, we live in a world of involuntary servitude. People do these things because they have to, not because they want to. It's that simple. It's just, I'm sick and tired of people who actually don't have the courage or lack the imagination, because a lot of these people who are actually religiously for the money system or lack, like I said, are uncreative individuals, unimaginative individuals often, who are trapped in the left brain imbalance, who are in a 5-sense prison, so to speak. They lack the divine feminine essence, which involves creativity and imagination. Imagining a better world, a system where there's no money. It's not naive to imagine these things. Let me tell you something. The thing about it is that I keep saying that this world is not going to truly change as well until people start truly embracing the positive divine feminine, not this poisoned version of it that has been given to us by the modern world. That's actually evolves by not the modern world, but by the controllers through social engineering. That actually involves emasculization, because the emasculization agenda is based on actually people who are unwilling to stand up for themselves. That's what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is the true divine feminine, which is that creativity, that intuition, all those things, and rediscovering our spiritual faculties and all that cool stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. We need to use our sense of imagination. Then we need to understand that there's something. The feminine is the planner. The masculine is the builder. I mean, the problem here is that people want to use the builder or the masculine force. The masculine force only can do things based on its previous and past experiences, which is the reason why we're not getting anywhere, because of the fact that people rely too much on past experiences and too much on past and just things that they've done in the past that seem to have kind of worked, which really don't work in the long run. Where's the planner, which is the feminine, the marriage between the builder and the planner, the masculine and the feminine, where we can take the feminine, the planner, then the builder can actually build what was on the plans. We got to use that imagination. Then we got to use the masculine left brain builder force to build what was planned. Build on that in imagination. You got to learn to use your imagination. Then we got to actually learn how to build with that imagination. But the building part is not necessarily the problem. It's the fact that they're being actually stagnated because of the fact that the feminine is not there for people. The planner is not there. People, because a lot of people are trapped in a 5 sense illusionary left brain mindset. They want to go based on what's safe, quote unquote safe, even though it's what's caused our slavery. They don't want to go into the dark, scary territory of imagination. Imagine a world where we don't need money. A world where we can be clothed, fed, and actually have a place to live in. That's a basic necessity. This idea of homelessness and poverty non-existent in such a world. We can't imagine that type of world. It's not naive to imagine a world, especially if we actually are willing to combine the feminine planner with the masculine builder. That's what I'm trying to say. The fact that it's taboo to imagine and talk about these things because people will laugh at you. A lot of these people in the so-called truth movement will laugh at you for saying this. That we need to live in if you dare say that we need to get away from money because money is actually the root of many problems on this planet. It's the God of this world. It's the true God of this world. This archonic tool of enslavement. On paper, you talk about how money makes it easier to exchange things for goods. Yes, on paper, true. But at the end of the day, why do we have to stop there? We need to evolve beyond that. But humanity doesn't want to because many people have a nihilistic philosophical worldview in this attitude of, oh, I have one life to live, so fuck it all. I'm just going to go with what's safe and hold on, there's a train coming, I got to pause this audio. Anyways, okay, sorry about that. But like I said, just dare to imagine a better world where there's no money. Instead of thinking that it's some necessary evil. I don't believe in the idea of necessary evil. I don't believe in that nonsense. That's this type of same logic people deduct as a way to actually justify giving their power to other people. You know, let's vote for this party because they're they're lesser evil, or how this myth of government being a necessary evil. It's only there because of the fact that people don't know better. They think this is all we can aspire to in this world. They want to go with what's safe because they're too scared to try something new. That's why we're stuck with money, because of the fact that people can't dare to imagine a new world where we don't need money anymore. I understand that we can't get rid of money overnight, but one of the things that I want to do is work towards that, which is what I'm doing with my work. Work towards that. It's not about actually just completely changing things overnight. It's not about collectivism, which I actually talk a lot about, and how collectivism is the reason why we're in the mess we're in now. I get it. I get that. But at the end of the day, what it's really about, it's about daring to actually want to do something new. So let's work towards a world where we don't have to worry about this nonsense anymore. This thing called money. And to all the people out there who want to do this, ignore all those clowns out there. All the worshippers of money or money-based systems because they think that's all we can aspire to. Ignore them. Or better yet, give them the finger if they actually continue if they dare bother you. No, maybe not literally give them the finger, but you know what I mean, figuratively speaking. This is what it's all about. It's all about being you. It's about daring to imagine. Then after you imagine, you try to find a way to put it into use through the use of the masculine builder. It's all about like I said, that's the reason why that's one of the main reasons why we're not getting anywhere, because of the fact that a lot of people don't want to actually have a marriage between the divine masculine and divine feminine, the builder and the planner. People want to keep those two forces divorced, or they think one or the other is bad, due to all the social engineering and conditioning. Because of the fact they have been traumatized by negative aspects of both the masculine and the feminine forces. They've been traumatized by both. So they think, oh, we need to separate or segregate one or the other. No, you don't. So that's all I have to say about this topic. And I hope that people understand this, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to I don't believe in these institutions of having to do everything based on what's safe. Get out of here with that nonsense. A bunch of grown-ass men with no courage to try something new. The fear of failure. That's what it ultimately is all about. Has to be safe. Has to be tried before. No, I don't believe in that bullshit. So come on, let's get it together.